Unsurprisingly, the Nerd and Tie podcast is a part of the Nerd and Tie podcast network. For more shows ranging from actual play to true crime to witchcraft, go to nerdandtie.com or join our Discord by finding an invite at nerdandtie.com/Discord. Did you know you could sponsor Nerd and Tie? That's right, for just $20, we'd say your name here and we'd say how cool you are. If you want to find more information on that, go to nerdandtie.com, click on the sponsor button, and follow the instructions, because there are instructions, and that's how you do things. Also, if you'd like to support our legal fund, go to gofundme.com/nerdandtie.
In this episode of Nerd and Tie, Asen muddles the COVID protocols days before con. We give our con report from No Brand Con. The CW cancels tons of shows. Obi-Wan makes his Disney Plus premiere, and Stranger Things Season 4 is kinda out. All this in a mailbag on this edition of Nerd and or Tie.
Woo!
Whoa.
Happy Monday, everyone. Weird to say, not our normal recording day.
Actually, it is for this show.
Oh,
It's
okay,
been
yeah,
our-
I guess it is.
we used to do this show on Sundays, but we switched to doing this show on Mondays like a while ago.
Okay, yeah, that's true. I don't know.
It feels off because it's Memorial Day. We're recording this on Memorial Day, and we weren't none of us didn't go to our job. Well, I mean, you went to a job today, but not like the weekday job.
I didn't actually go to I didn't go to either of my jobs today.
Oh, okay.
I went to a family thing today, which, yeah, it was mostly good.
Family. You and Vin Diesel.
Family. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, Vin and I had to hash some stuff out, but it's okay now.
Dear Lord.
Uh,
we haven't introduced us.
Okay, yeah, that's just enabling bad Fast and Furious jokes is my good friend Trey Dorn.
I exist as a human being, and that's what I'm sticking with.
And presumably turning their garage into some sort of aquatic vessel. I assume that's why you're attaching a sail to it, is Genjamin.
Yep.
Our flag means saving.
I've been sitting in the sun all day. It's
Oh
been
my
like
gosh.
90 degrees out, and my brain is fried.
I'm so sorry.
So
Oh no.
good luck with this episode.
Yeah, this is like the hottest day in a while too. So like, it was like
It was
literally
actually-
the worst day.
It was super nice here in Janesville. I'm so sorry. I walked 5 miles and I was comfortable the whole walk. And of course, I'm for now Nick Izumi. What's that about?
Currently.
Find out later, probably. I don't know.
Not this episode.
Not this episode though. I'm really excited to talk to you guys. It's a weird docket. There's
Sure
good news,
is.
there's bad news. There's
news.
Ooh, there's news.
There's
Yeah.
news.
Oh boy.
Let's barrel into our first story, which is so Asen. So Asen, like the biggest con in the Midwest, like this behemoth of a convention, announced mere days before the con. What was it? 4 days before the con?
Yeah, it was. I think it was the Tuesday before the con.
Okay, so yeah, it was the Tuesday before.
Yeah, it was May 16th is when they
May
made the
16th.
announcement.
Jiminy
So it was the
Jiminy.
Monday before the con. It was the Monday before the con.
Okay, okay, they did marginally better than I thought they did.
This came out this came out while I was like sitting on a lake, like because my wife and I go on vacation every year, and like I have minimal internet when I do this. Like I just have a cellular connection through my iPad. Like my phone doesn't even work at the cabin, and so I had to like write this story like on effectively dial-up internet speeds at a remote cabin in the woods.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, ASEN, like the largest convention in the Midwest, just kind of sprung on everybody.
Largest anime convention in the Midwest.
excuse me, anime convention in the Midwest. We're not talking. We're not
It's not
counting
even the
like the
biggest
big.
geek convention at the Donald E. Stevens Center.
This is true. Pardon me. Well, okay. So specifically anime focused event. Um, ASUN going in had pretty responsible stringent COVID policies, proof of vaccination, mask required. I think did they even require a negative test?
Yeah, so their question
Yeah,
was is
all of
that
that.
it was the standard. It was their policy was listed pretty similar to what a lot of places have been doing, including like Anime Milwaukee, things like that. Was that you had to have a both a negative COVID you had to have either a negative COVID test or proof of vaccination, one of the two.
Okay, yeah.
And then
So
masking was required. That was what they that's what they had been promoting for months. Had been like saying things like these are our requirements.
and had said repeatedly would not change.
On April 29th, 2022, when asked specifically, Anime Central's Twitter said, "No, our COVID safety guidelines will not change prior to the con." That is a direct quote from a tweet that is still up. Some people have reported that tweet was deleted. No, that tweet's still up. It's still
right there. Super visible. You can look at it right now if you want. Yeah, no, so suddenly, just on that Monday, they announced that they were getting rid of all of those restrictions.
Yeah.
They were just gone. And of course, this was well after anyone could get a refund.
Well, to be clear, actually, ASEN doesn't normally offer refunds at all.
Okay, yeah.
ASEN did rollovers for the 2020 dates that got canceled, and obviously that kept rolling as 2021 also got canceled. But so normally they don't do refunds at all, but they did, like, literally people were saying, hey, I don't, like, people were saying, hey, like, I feel safer buying a ticket now because you're reassuring us that COVID guidelines aren't being canceled, like that COVID guidelines will be in place. And there are people who literally bought their badges under that promise. So it is,
it's irresponsible at best.
Well,
like,
yeah. I mean, here's the full
insanely irresponsible.
Here's the thing. This is the full timeline that amazes me, and their attempt to back. So on Monday the 16th, they canceled all the on Monday May 16th they said they were canceling all COVID guidelines. And the convention was really vague. And now, mind you, they made this public announcement before most of the people who even worked the convention were aware that this had happened. I've talked to people off the record who had no idea that this cancellation was going to occur and found out when the public found out. It's the convention's original statement was very vague and seemed to deflect blame to the venue. And like, they literally in their announcement said, due to the changes in COVID protocols by the CDC and requirements by the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center, we have the following update. And then they're no longer, and which none of those, like, the policy changes that they're referring to, in theory, the recommendations really changed in February. There was no change in May. And again, ASEN is run by MAPS. Their parent organization has sole decision making on their own policies, and so there's a leaked internal email that went out, and I've gotten it from a couple of different sources. So it's it really this decision was made by Anime Central's management. This did not come from an outside. This did not come from an outside requirement. It was a decision by Anime Central's board. Now, on May 17th, now apparently also guests did not know and were finding out from the public emails, and the convention initially started to backtrack, saying that panelists could require that people be masked for their panels individually, and event on the 17th, they partially backtracked in policy and updated the COVID-19 policies that said that masks were now required in all guest and panelist events, the dances, the exhibit hall, the artist alley, the gaming and entertainment hall. Now, if you're keeping track of places you can go in ASEN, or places that you could go in ASEN, I should say, because obviously the convention is not, the convention has already happened. That's pretty much everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I've seen people ask, well, what about the lobbies? And it's like, they were never going to be able to enforce mask wearing in the lobbies because those are outside of their rented space.
Right. That's beyond what they'd be able to do.
Because ASEN only rents 2 halls in the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. The rest of that building they do not use because the rest of it's in the hotel across the street. And it's like, so and a lot of people were like, oh, thank God, like they fixed it. But you'll notice at no point in this backtracking did they include the negative COVID test. Negative COVID tests and vaccine requirements were not reinstated.
Mm-hmm.
At all.
Mm-mm.
And so, and it's led to a lot of questions, because why on earth did they make this change?
And why did they make it so late in the game?
Yeah,
that's what befuddles me. They could have made this decision back in February.
Well, it leads to the following questions. First off, like, what was the change made because they either one or two things happened. Either someone decided that they didn't want to have this policy anymore, which is insane to me, or B, they were not properly prepared to actually execute the plan.
Which honestly sounds more likely.
And that is, to me, ridiculous, because every other convention, like so many other conventions, have been running successfully. Like Anime Milwaukee, which shares a lot of the same staff, managed to, without really any problems, execute the exact same requirements that ASEN originally had. You know what I mean? Like, Anime Milwaukee, which arguably has fewer resources than Anime Central, was able to do vaccine and COVID test checks without a problem.
It's very strange, and it's still very strange to me.
And like, the conspiratorial part of my mind is like, well, did they figure they couldn't do it, and like did the flip-flop so that they would appear like, no, it doesn't make any sense. Like the reinstitution of the mask requirement was clearly like them covering their butts, because like the fact is that in likelihood they would have probably had guests canceling. But like, because the convention center mentioned the Donald E. Stevens Center in their thing, a lot of people were calling the convention center to complain,
right?
And effectively hounding the convention center over a policy that they didn't institute or put into place. And like, I have a lot of people asking me like, well, does this hurt Anime Central? Does this backtracking hurt Anime Central? Because a lot of people felt betrayed, because like there are artists and vendors who had to go, who had made this commitment under the belief that there would be a COVID policy in place that was more comprehensive than what even went into effect there, right? Like, there are people who were selling there who really couldn't pull out of it. Now, Anime Central's Artist Alley and Vendor Hall is it's a high demand place to get a table. So even if half the people don't apply next year, they'll still fill that space. It's like, so the real question is will people in this community have a long enough memory? Because obviously no one could get refunded, right? Because ASEN doesn't do refunds normally. And so, like, here's the thing: you roll this back, and like, to make this kind of change days before the convention, when you're past, like, but you're also past the point of being able to refund hotel rooms. Like, not being able to refund your ASEN badge sucks, But a trip to ASEN is way more costs than just the cost of the badge. There's the cost of a hotel room, and those hotel rooms are not cheap. There's travel costs that can't get refunded that late in the game. It's people coming from all over, and it's, again, not super great when you haven't verified that those people are negative.
For reference, on how expensive these hotel rooms can get, my first ASEN, 13 of us shared a hotel room because they're so expensive and so hard to get.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a real bear. It can be a real bear.
And so to not be able to get that refunded is huge.
Yeah.
To someone.
And to like have to go to the event or it's either you're basically out that money or you go to the event and you feel extremely possibly unsafe because they rolled back the most basic restrictions.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if this is going to actually hurt ASEN long term, because the fact is the people in the convention scene have the memory of mayflies, and bad things happen at conventions all the time, and attendees will literally, if the event is big enough and has a guest they like, will forget or look past it. And so it's the question is going to be is how well do people remember? But it's irresponsible. Like, I can guarantee you that there are people who got... Someone's going to say, like, I've seen people say, like, oh, well, but, like, people were always going to get COVID there. Right, but it's, like, more people. It's... I see people say, like, oh, anytime you go to an event that size, you're taking a risk. It's like, right, but you mitigate risks. It's not about... Like, you wear a seatbelt even though people still die in car crashes wearing their seatbelt.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing. It's like, of course it's a risk they have to calculate, but yeah, they're not even doing the most basic thing to mitigate it.
I am genuinely furious with Anime Central and Maps, and it's so hard to get people to, like, so nobody is going on record as to what prompted this decision, because people, the way their staff is so large and structured that people either don't know, and the few people who would know, though, are effectively signed to NDAs, because all the board stuff is covered by NDAs. And by the way, if your convention requires non-disclosure agreements, fuck off. I'm sorry. I've been working conventions for 26 years. 26 years I've been working conventions. I have my first, like, volunteer badge ever on the wall over there, so I could see what year it was. And I will tell you that, like, there is no reason for a non-profit anime convention board to require a non-disclosure agreement. There is literally no solid argument for that. And if anything, all it does is protect bad actors or covering up shitty decisions. And I am a huge proponent for transparency. And if your convention is too chicken shit to be transparent on these kinds of decisions, it's stupid. Because there is no transparency into the organization. And all the people who do know, who, like, I could talk to, can't tell me, because they might face a legal repercussion. I mean, mind you, I don't think they actually will, because I don't think Anime Central has the resources to actually pursue legal action against any of these people, but I'm not going to tell someone to put in a risk, for the satisfaction of my curiosity, when there is literally no scenario that they're going to tell me that makes me think that this is a well-run event. Because whether it's purposeful or it's incompetence, neither really makes you look good.
No. And I think one of the things that's happened here is it's damaged their reputation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
I mean,
Like,
and mind you, if you talk in gossip circles, ASEN's reputation has been in in the dirt a little for a while, but now this is really kind of bringing it to light to a lot of people who weren't aware of some of the, like, let me put it this way, like, none of it was like, when I used to think of like negative stuff about ASEN, it was just like minor drama stuff. That's why you haven't really seen, like, yeah, I've never written an article really about it until now. Like, it's because all of it was like, you know, minor irresponsible stuff for the most part. Well, there is one particular bad thing, but it wasn't just ASEN guilty of it. So I'm not gonna yeah, we're not gonna dig into that. You can go read the Vic Mignogna affidavits yourself. But like Anime Central, like all the negative stuff before was just sort of like minor eye roll stuff, not like a I think this is being done to the point of anybody ever being in danger. And so many, almost every convention, even the ones I love, have eye roll stuff like behind the scenes.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the things that like brings a lot of con staffers together, is because we've dealt with like similar stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah. Because there's always that one guy on staff who is just an idiot. Like, like I don't mean like because like there's always someone on staff with bad ideas. You know, or like, but like it's so that's why like I think that I'm just going on the record that I think if you are running an anime convention and you've got NDAs in place about your board's like decisions and activities, fuck off. Just like, it's fuck off.
I'm not going to say that I always second guess an NDA, but like, yeah, you really do have to. Anytime someone wants you to sign an NDA, you really do need to consider, why is this being asked of me, and what is the reason that I need to.
I'm not saying that Anime Central put NDAs in place out of any sort of nefarious reason. I think I've seen it happen at more than one convention where they've done this. And in truth, most of the time, it's because people are just over paranoid about drama and really looking at the stakes of, we're running a recreational event as like these major parts of their identity, that they get too wound up in it. Like, the stakes are not like they feel like, because, and especially with conventions that are run by maybe some younger people, where like they get a lot of their identity wrapped up into it, the stakes feel emotionally much higher than they are. And I've been guilty of this too. It's, you know, I've been dumb and lost perspective. And so I think that some people like will put an NDAs in place because like they're worried about, like, Jim Bob is worried that Murray is going to secretly try to take over the convention for no financial gain. But like, it's like, you know what I mean? And like, you know, and Jill and Susan are having secret talks because they're worried that Beth might be like trying to run for treasurer out from under them.
I mean, yeah, like, I know, I get that. I mean, again, back in November when we did our DaishoCon episode, I specifically talked about how people involved with that started using random legalese that made no sense if you knew anything about legalese.
And my point is, those people might implement things like NDAs not because of some really nefarious purpose, but because they're overly paranoid and have not realized that the stakes are not as high as they think they are. So I understand that those people like didn't have like I'm saying is that these are not done with nefarious purpose always, and often they aren't. But the effect they have is that when something does go wrong and transparency is desperately needed behind a decision or a policy, these NDAs end up sitting in place and just end up like shutting down the needed information and like the needed openness of discussion.
And before we move on from the topic, because I feel like we've covered a lot of this ground, it is worth noting that while people were desperate for more information, the Anime Central media team was completely radio silent for full days.
I suspect that the reason why the social media team was silent about it is because they didn't know the answer. Like, I don't have confirmation on that, but just based off of the way I've heard people who worked this convention and when they found out about things themselves, I am betting that the social media team did not have any further answers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Like, I am betting that they couldn't answer because they didn't have one.
And shout out to anyone who was upset with the situation, but also made it clear that they weren't upset with whoever the media team was, because, like you said, they probably didn't have an answer. It more likely than not was not in their hands. And the people who needed to be answering things were also completely radio silent.
Yeah.
And that was the bigger problem.
My anger sits with the board, and that's it. And frankly, if anybody feels like breaking their NDA anonymously, we would not reveal a source if they happen to reach out to us at tips@nerdandtie.com. We would be more than welcome to read anonymous information if someone wanted to break their NDA. But I understand why you wouldn't, but I am just putting it out there.
And I don't know. Does anyone have anything else they want to add at this point?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah.
Just that it was like a stupid decision to make last minute, and like a stupid way to handle it afterwards.
Well, and it's just ridiculous to me because it's the fucking, like, vaccine. God, I keep swearing this episode. I am so sorry. The vaccine checks and like are the easiest thing to implement.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Well, let's
use that as a segue.
Let's do that as a segue, because we know Trey knows about checking vaccine cards, because as it so happens, No Brand Con was not that long before ASEN, and all of us were there. We actually got to see each other in person for the first time since the meat grinder.
Yeah. So full disclosure, No Brand Con is a convention that I'm the co-founder of, and I am the current president of No Brand Con Incorporated, and like head of the convention director of and head of its board. So technically, I'm actually going to not talk a lot during this segment because I run No Brand Con.
And you were busy running No Brand Con.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you want to know my experience at No Brand Con, it was telling people who weren't vaccinated that they couldn't come in.
Mm-hmm.
You had more of that to deal. I'm not going to say you had more of it to deal with than what I was expecting, but it was a bit more animated than what I was expecting. I'll put it that way. Now, personally, I was really happy to be at a con again. While, masking was not always the most comfortable because of just how hot it was that weekend, I'm really glad everyone was masked. I don't know about you guys. I didn't get con crud, which is something that I haven't been able to say in a long time.
This is the first time in like probably a decade that I came home from a convention with no diseases. It was great.
I mean, I came down with a little bit of something, but it wasn't like much.
Admittedly, I spent a lot of time just kind of wandering, running into friends, and bothering you good folks in the artist alley, where I know Gen was, along with several friends of the show in a nice little section together. So that was really fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, this was my big like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen these friends in years con. And so it was just absolutely lovely. In that
same.
regard, it was absolutely lovely.
Yeah,
There were so many people I missed so much, and I'm glad we got to spend time together.
it was so nice to see friends who aren't you guys. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love seeing you guys,
And
but
that's
I have
fair.
Yeah.
seen you two throughout the pandemic because we've done the meat grinder weekend, you know. So like I have seen both of you in person, and with like Kyle and Scott, but other than that, I have not seen friends in person
Mm.
except for
Um,
until then.
it was really fun to do panels again. It got me hyped up about doing comedy and panels in person again. Um, my next con, my panels are going to be with much heavier subject matter, so that's another beast entirely. But I really did have a good time. Credit where credit is due. I really do think No Brand did a really good job of making use of the space, and in that regard also, especially for things like the artist alley, there were enough people there that there was variety, but there weren't so many people there that with the attendance numbers no one was going to make money, which is an important calculation to do, because if you have a small enough con, if you have too many artists, none of your artists are going to make money.
Mhm.
That's just a fact of the matter. And I know my partner did very well in the artist alley. It sounds like some other folks also did. So
Mhm.
I'm that was a huge success. Um it was hot though. That was my biggest issue. It was really hot. I actually like struck an entire cosplay from my schedule that weekend because ironically, it was the same costume we talked about at the live episode, the one that's the big, like, butterfly kimono, because it's too damn many layers, and I
Mhm.
would have been dead.
Oh, it was so warm. Like
It,
it's I like was yeah, I was not like I wore like I had whole outfits planned that I did not wear that weekend because I was like
Yeah.
I'm in public. I get to be in public again for like the first time in okay, nope, we're just going to be in a t-shirt and jeans and that's it. It's like
Yeah.
that
yeah.
said, yeah, no, I had a really good time. Very successful, No Brand. Even if I know maybe it wasn't the most attended event, but it was one of the most fun times I've
Um
had at No Brand in recent
so
memory.
so do you want numbers if
Like, if you're willing to share it, I
So I
mean,
don't have the stuff in front of me right now, but I can tell you that we that our numbers were comparable to 2019.
Oh,
okay.
So we were stable to 2019 numbers.
that's good.
2019 was also a really fun con.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, well, it was the and just it was the previous No Brand Con, right? So it was that was the No Brand Con 18 was the 2019 con. This was No Brand Con 19 in 2022. So
But
it
that's
mm,
was
really good
yeah,
to hear, what with like a pandemic in the middle of
right.
both.
Right. So, and
Like,
with especially since we literally were turning people away. Uh so it's yeah.
that's not bad at all.
mm-mm.
No, it's I mean No Brand Con is not a huge event. We it's our attendance numbers have been in decline since we've been in the Wisconsin Dells. Uh and so but we did stabilize, and well, it's hard to say because we had probably the highest pre-reg we had in probably like 5 years,
Mm.
but the atcon numbers still turned out around what, like, we had like more than like probably had like double the pre-reg compared to 2019 for 2022, but our final numbers were approximately the same. So it's I kept, because it was like this whole thing throughout the event that like I kept saying like I have no idea what's happening because our pre-reg is high, but how much of this is that the people who are vaccinated are the ones most likely to be prepared?
I mean,
but
yeah.
it's so it is that's a cat on the recording there for everybody.
Yep.
But
She was
yes.
on my chair. Not allowed.
So yeah, it. No, I don't want to like go into too many details because I don't have stuff in front of me right now. But overall, again, we did not shrink.
Good.
So yeah,
very good.
That's all we need to know. And we are pleased.
I had a really good time. I look forward to doing No Brand again. It's always one of my favorite events, and this did not change this year.
Wherever it may end up.
Wherever it may end up. But you know what? I still feel confident in No Brand coming back next year, which is more than we can say for 9 shows on the CW.
Oh my God.
I did not pre-plan that segue, but I needed to. Next story. Wow, the CW is just canceling stuff right now.
Oh, it's a lot. It's
a lot.
so much. The CW has canceled. Yeah, like it's
Batwoman gone, Dynasty gone, Legends of Tomorrow gone, Naomi gone, that Charmed remake gone.
Yeah, In the Dark is gone. Legacy's gone. The 4400 gone. Naomi gone. Roswell, New Mexico gone. Here's the thing about Roswell, New Mexico. There's a whole season that is filmed and about to premiere. So
already
you can't
canceled.
even say it's because the most recent stuff has had low ratings because they haven't even had a chance to like air the new season. Riverdale is going to have a final season.
As a fan of Swamp Thing, I feel for people because that's what happened with the DC streaming app show too, where they had like an entire season in the can and it was canceled out the gate.
And I unironically love Roswell, New Mexico. I unironically love that show. And this is, but okay, so here's the thing also, like Batwoman and Legends of Tomorrow, the cancellation of those shows, the rumor is because that they didn't want to renew the lease on the on the studios where they were filming the shows.
Wow.
It's like
wowie wow.
And now you might be saying that like the CW historically has been a place where you don't need huge ratings to get your show renewed. And the reason why is this is all because of the Warner Discovery merger, and they want to sell off the CW. And
I was going to say, I was of the understanding that the CW has never really been a big money maker of a station.
It is not. It has it has been revealed that it consistently loses money, but like it is ridiculous. Now most of these
this is nuts.
Most of these shows are being told, we're told that to treat things as if their ending could be a series finale. It sucks for Legends of Tomorrow because Legends of Tomorrow was excellent and had that amazing Booster Gold show appearance in its finale that would have led into a new season. With Donald Faison playing Booster Gold. It's
Legends delighted me. It's a show I'm very fond of.
But like that leaves this leaves the only Arrowverse shows left airing are Superman and Lois and The Flash. Superman and Lois is great. The Flash, I finally stopped watching it like probably about 4 episodes ago because I just got like so.
I was about to say I really enjoy Superman and Lois. Unfortunately, Flash overstayed its welcome for me.
Flash should have ended like 2 seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not because the actor who plays Cisco Ramon left, but it like that was around.
It didn't help.
Should have it? Yeah, like it's. I feel like the writing kind of ran out of places to go. It's like, and I've liked the actors who came into the show afterwards. Like, and I'm not being critical of any of the actors or their performances. It's just I feel like the writing hasn't really known where to go with the show. it lasted longer than Supergirl's writers didn't know what to do. The last couple seasons of Supergirl I have issues with, largely because they stopped focusing on Kara as a person and as a part of the character. Like, so I have complicated feelings. Really, yeah, but like, yeah, it's like I actually really enjoyed the Charmed reboot. I watched the 4400 reboot and was digging it. I was digging it way more than I dug the original 4400. Same with Roswell. I admittedly did not watch past the first episode of Naomi. It just didn't grab me, and I was going to give it a shot, but it's one of those things where I was like, oh, well, I'll wait for the whole season to hit streaming and then, see if I like it after binging it. And then it got canceled. So, and so then it's like, I'm not going to bother.
No, I get that. It really is a bummer, especially now. Like, personally, I haven't been watching most of these shows, but like, I'm never gonna wish that someone's favorite show gets canceled,
right?
And assuming it's not hurting anybody. If your favorite show is like Tucker Carlson, I hope your show is canceled and that you fall off the planet. But that's beside the point. Like,
sure.
I'm not feeling doomy. What are you talking about? Anyway. No. But yeah, no, it's just
you know what? Because you said this, I'm just gonna make the preview image for this episode of Choco Taco. I don't have.
I love Choco Tacos. Choco Tacos are delicious. They're one of my favorite things. Completely unironically love Choco Tacos.
The image for this episode is just gonna be an unexplained Choco Taco, and people will get to this point and they will be like, why is it a Choco Taco? And
because
I'll do it like I'll do a Choco Taco.
I'll
do a Choco Taco in Ascen's parking garage, and that'll make it relevant.
Ooh, good, very good.
Like it. I'm here for it.
All right.
So I don't know if there's anything else to say, but it sucks. All these shows they're gone. Sorry, CW fans.
Yeah.
It really just kind of it sucks because like the network has been a great place for like niche genre shows for a while, and it's losing
most of those niche genre shows.
Yeah. It's gonna make TV like a little less interesting. You know what I mean?
Well, at least The Flash will continue long past the point where it should have stopped. So
I really hope this turns out to be the last season. Like, I'm just so.
No, dude, I feel you. Because remember, I loved that show when it started up. I loved it, completely, sincerely loved it. And then, yeah, I dropped off before you did, but
yeah,
it sucks that I almost hate when a show overstays its welcome more than when a show dies before it hits its stride.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know, like, if Firefly would have stuck around, it probably would have gotten real bad. But now we could kind of, forget that, if we just ignore, like, the terrible things its creator did, it's like, wow, that show was cool. Too bad we won't know its full potential. But meanwhile, it's like, oh God, Barry, just stop, please. I'm begging you.
Yeah.
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 But well, as one door closes, another door opens.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of fun genre TV from something that is undeniably making a lot of money, from what I understand, over at Disney Plus. the time has come. We have the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi debuted this week.
Yeah, and they were good.
They were extremely good. I was very happy. They even did things that on paper I would normally think I would hate, and I really liked, like, a lot. Like it's one of those like dumb hard fast rules that like internet nerds had of, oh, you never want a little kid version of a character you like because it's just going to be annoying, and the only thing that's going to work for you is remembering that character from when they're not a little kid. That is not the case with this show. I don't want to spoil too much. Do you mind if I go into details again, or because I don't know if you've seen it?
No, I haven't seen it, but I don't care.
Okay. Yes.
So I don't think it's a huge spoiler to mention that one of the characters on the show is a young Princess Leia.
And the actress who they got is excellent. She is very funny. She's extremely sassy. And I didn't realize that I needed the 2 sassiest characters in Star Wars to actually go on an adventure together. Yeah. Turns out that I did. That's exactly what I wanted.
Oh, man. And the Dude Bros are mad about it.
It's very strange.
It's so fucking... Like, I saw someone, like... So I loved these 2 episodes we've gotten so far.
I agreed. They got John Wick in my Star Wars.
Sure. But, like, it's... I have seen this take that's, like, someone was like, oh, I heard it was awful. And I was like, what is it? Well, my friend admitted that they stopped watching after young Leia showed up. And I'm like, that's like 75% of what's out is after she shows up. Your friend didn't watch the show. Like,
yeah, that's always BS.
What are you talking about?
Basically, anytime someone says, I didn't finish the first episode, I kind of don't care about what their opinion is of the show.
Yeah. Well, it depends on why they said. Like, if someone says, I didn't finish the first episode and then maybe it got better, if someone says that because, like, there's some, like, violent, awful thing and, like, it's... Like, there are lots of reasons why I might not finish something.
Right. Okay. No, that's fair. But...
And there are a lot of shows out there who do have, like, a not great first episode that could turn people off right away, and then they get better later on.
Yeah.
Like that I can understand, but like if you watch like a third of an episode, say you hate it, it's like
at
least give it a chance. At least watch the whole thing and give it a chance.
I guess and it really depends on the thing. Like if it's, I don't know, I guess it depends. There's a big difference. I guess what I mean to say in the way I'm phrasing it, I'm sorry I keep saying I guess, with terrible diction on my part, but what I mean to say is if someone is willing to call something like the worst TV show ever and they didn't watch a whole episode, then I think you're full of shit.
Too much. That's
then
too
I think
much.
you're full of shit.
Like, really? Because Cop Rock exists. So you're saying it's... like, you're saying it's worse than Cop Rock?
Heil Honey, I'm Home.
God, I forgot about Heil Honey, I'm Home. The Clerks, the American version of the It Crowd.
Yeah. All of these are things. All of these are,
which isn't even like the worst show I've seen, but it's definitely worse than like a lot of things. God, I've seen so many. The pilot of the Time Tunnel remake with Kevin Smith in it. I've watched that. That was pretty bad.
The Pride of the X-Men pilot. That's
unironically love the Pride of the X-Men, even with all of its Australian Wolverine.
That's predictive programming. That was them letting us know that Hugh Jackman was gonna... I can't even say that with a straight face. I'm sorry. I watched that a ton as a kid. I make fun of it like no one's business now. But yeah, no, it really is like, even like some of the stuff that people complained about were things that I looked at it and it's like, oh, the one thing that I've seen people complain about that I almost saw merit to, except at the end of the day don't see merit to, was that they didn't like how Leia being chased by the guy from Red Hot Chili Peppers and his gang was shot, because it felt too much like Home Alone or something. Personally, I found it, at first it was a little off-putting, but giving it a second watch, I find it charming.
Yeah,
because again, this is a show for families, and you don't want to actually like violently depict a human trafficking scene in your family show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a wild idea
just
here.
Saying. We're
Like,
just saying here.
Like, I don't know, that I love the costume designs. Full disclosure, someone who one of the people who volunteered with cosplay judging in the early years of a con I worked for, worked on the costuming team for the show.
Really?
So I'm extremely biased in that
Cool.
regard.
That's cool.
I don't know that I want to name them on the show just in case, but I can share that later. It's someone who I don't know super well, but if you know me, I've got some Doctor Who pictures with them from way back. They're really cool.
Okay, because usually the people I know who like are involved in like production stuff like don't work on anything this high profile. Like,
well, this person's been like doing stuff for like with the Jim Henson Company too.
Oh, okay, wow.
Like, yeah, she's worked on like refurbishing like Muppets and shit. So it's
wow. So it's it's like I usually think of people I know out there like Momo or something who like did like with like art stuff like set dressing on like not like, is it a Christmas movie? Christmas is the name of that thing. And
right.
I got to give her direct shit about the fact that like why were there so many stockings in the house for two people? And I did spot a price tag on the bottom of a mug.
Yeah, I do want to give that clarification that I definitely have a bias, but if in the off chance that friend in question hears this, you did a great job. Maybe I'll let you know more directly later. But yeah, I adore. I'm betting the Man Baby fans are also going to be upset because if you didn't like Luke Skywalker dealing with trauma in an unhealthy way in The Last Jedi, oh boy. we have Obi-Wan slumming it, and it is good kind of painful to watch.
I mean, if
that makes sense.
It's exactly where Obi-Wan would be at this point in his life.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree, but I also think that's exactly where Luke Skywalker would be as someone who peaked in his 20s and then, like, during a midlife crisis almost killed his nephew, you know?
What I love is actually that, like, for the point in the timeline this is, Ewan McGregor is the age that Obi-Wan should be at this point, because he is almost exactly 10 years younger than Alec Guinness was when he played Obi-Wan in A New Hope. And it's set 10 years before A New Hope.
Also, people complaining about how is he supposed to turn from looking the way he does in this series to looking like Alec Guinness. Please look at actual humans' age. I'm begging you.
No, oh my God.
I'm sorry, but like please look at actual humans' age, especially ones who are constantly in physically demanding situations. Like, I hate to break this to you guys, but
go look at people aging where they work in the sun all day. And think about that double sun. Think about it.
Yeah, that. Like,
yeah.
Just, rub those two brain cells together for once in your life.
But also, like,
you can do it.
Let's look at Alec Guinness's acting career. Like, Alec Guinness. So Alec Guinness what did Alec Guinness look like in the late 1960s?
I don't know that.
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up.
Let's see what movies he was in. What did Alec Guinness look like in Dr. Zhivago or Hotel Paradiso? Like, if you Google Alec Guinness.
Oh, wow.
If you look at Alec Guinness in Dr. Zhivago, that is him at approximately the age that Ewan McGregor is now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that's wow.
Yeah. Like,
I am insert Bernie Sanders meme here. I am once again asking you to look at how people age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Screw you, people. Like, they actually did a really good job.
Like,
oh my God.
This is the way a human being ages. So yeah, no. This is exactly what Obi-Wan should look like.
This isn't the X-Men, or excuse me, the rebooted timeline X-Men films. Where Charles and Eric are just permanently in their mid-30s.
Crazy. Yeah, so Obi-Wan's good.
It's really good. It's really fun. I really love the returning characters, and the new characters are pretty badass.
Yeah. Do we have any other thoughts about Obi-Wan? We've only seen the first 2 episodes, so we're gonna have more thoughts next month when more.
Watch it with us. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's good. If you like Obi-Wan Kenobi, you have no reason not to watch this.
Yeah, and it's excellent. But this was a big weekend for nerdy media. So besides we got the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan, there was a new episode of MST3K.
Oh yeah,
which the powers that be continue to not address what happened to Nate Beagle.
I think
we talked about it last episode. We talked about it on an episode where we talked about how Nate Beagle is just gone from the show, with no announcement, and they keep pretending like he wasn't there at all. He is in the credits as the puppeteer for Crow on the episodes he was originally voicing, but he. All I know is that he's like Nate. It's such a weird thing because he's also like he does editing for the Defunctland YouTube channel, and so we know he's alive because Defunctland episodes
really
are coming up. Because he's hired. He's like an editor for hire for Defunctland.
I did not know that little tidbit.
Yeah. But anyways, there was a new episode. It was a Jonah episode of a Munchie came out for MST3K. It is literally described as the episode that broke the MST3K writers' room.
I'm gonna need to watch. I haven't gotten to watch it yet.
Same.
Oh no.
Yeah, same. We will watch and then give you our thoughts.
Yeah, it's great. But so we got that. We got the first season of Shoresy came out on Hulu.
That's right.
And it's surprisingly they managed to turn Shoresy into a character.
See, that's why I wasn't sure about it, is that Shoresy to me worked best as a guy yelling rude, gross things at the actual characters from off screen, or while doing weird, gross things barely in screen.
They've turned Shoresy into a like 3-dimensional character.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
He still does that.
Okay. But with dimensions now.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just not always in that situation. And then of course, the first volume of what they're calling it of Stranger Things season 4 came out on Netflix. And I say first volume, I mean I think it's everything but the last 2 episodes of the season.
What?
Like they're holding off on the last 2 episodes.
That's so weird.
Why?
And you have to remember, like every episode of Stranger Things is over an hour.
That's so weird.
I saw that, and that did not.
Like only one episode is an hour and 3 minutes, and the rest are all like an hour and 15 to an hour and a half long. So they're effectively the length of 2 episodes. So it's like they made the amount of content for a 13 episode season, but broke it up into fewer episodes than that. That's all. And I will tell you, nothing ever felt like it was dragging on plot wise. But it is like they are just not short. But it's because they pace them more similar to the way you would have filmed.
Okay.
That's
it's
fair, but
like you could have split each one of those in two. I wouldn't have lost any of the stuff in it though. Like I would say that for ease of viewing, like you might want to split it up into more pieces, but I don't think that there was any like it's not like when you watch like Iron Fist and you're like they could have shaved 20 minutes out of this episode and it would have been better. It's like everything that's in Stranger Things is still it's very good, and I think it's better than season 3 was.
That's encouraging because I was telling you before the show started, I was bored by season 3, and I hadn't really picked it up since.
Minor spoilers, but season 3's big bad is still the Mind Flayer, and it's like that's not what we're dealing. Like the bad guy that we're dealing with in season 4 is still connected to that whole thing, but operates very differently, and it is almost more akin in many ways to like the horrors of a slasher film in certain ways, while still being very much Stranger Things. Like
Gotcha.
Its genre is tilted slightly while still feeling authentic and part of the correct universe. Like, and it's all interrelated to the pre-existing stuff. But it's and it had probably one of the. There's a reason why Kate Bush is Running Up That Hill is trending on iTunes, because there's a very, very good, powerful scene set to that song. And I'm not spoiling that. I'm not spoiling that because it is
legit,
suspenseful and good and like brought tears to the eyes. And also it's just a good fucking song. There's a whole generation of people now discovering Kate Bush, and I think that's good. Yeah.
But they could be a whole generation discovering Stan Bush.
So I'm just gonna say this. I randomly watched the music video for. This is unrelated to anything related to Stranger. So Stranger Things season 4 so far, very good. I liked it a lot. Very Stranger Things, better than season 3, and I'm really digging it. But so you brought up Stan Bush. I randomly. Do you remember back like around, was it Dark of the Moon? It was in that first set of Sam Witwicky, Shia LaBeouf
Transformers movies,
where Stan Bush, I think it was around the time of the second one, did a re-recording of The Touch as The Touch in parentheses Sam's theme. And there's 2 versions of that song that he recorded. Like he did in the style of Linkin Park. And there are 2 versions. There's one where it's just like the guitars, but there's a version that he removed from his own stuff, but you can still find bootleg uploads of it with this rapper.
Oh my god.
And
this sounds awful. I need to find it.
So The Touch Sam's theme. Yeah, if you search The Touch Sam's theme, and you have to find the version on the official Stan Bush channel, I think does not have the rap. But there's a version uploaded to this YouTube user Maximus. That has it. I think it's got Spanish subtitles.
I just found it. Okay.
Yeah.
Saving that to mind.
And so the amazing things about this is like the amazing things about this music video is, besides the very serious tone and how it stands looking super serious and into it, the rapper guy who is doing his best imitation of a Linkin Park rap, like, you know, that genre of new rock rap.
Right.
He's doing the rap verse. He's looking really serious, and then the guitarist is having the best fucking time of his life.
Oh my god.
He looks like the guitarist looks like some dad in a weekend jam band who is just like so happy to be out of the house. I don't know how else to describe it. It is chef's kiss.
That's amazing. I didn't expect to go in that direction. I did want to, before we move completely away from Stranger Things, I did want to talk about I guess I wanted to talk about streaming TV a little bit, because we talked about Stranger Things and about Obi-Wan, and we briefly touched on some other things. And I know other people have talked about this. We've talked about this. I don't understand this release schedule for Stranger Things. It's even weirder than it normally would be. Like, the binge model is not my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
But I get why people like it. But but if your midway between it is to release 2/3 in one chunk and 1/3 in another chunk, that's just a weird binge model. Dare I say, a stupid binge model. I don't understand at all. I don't understand why Netflix is even still doing the immediate binge model thing. It's not doing any shows any favors. Now more than ever, like, Netflix was already getting infamous for this, but they've really seemed to have doubled down on this whole release something and then cancel it immediately because it doesn't trend insanely right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's dumb. It's a dumb model.
Like, here's the thing: I enjoy consuming shows in that way. Like, we watched, my wife and I, we sat down and we watched all of Stranger Things season 4, like the part of it that's out right now. We watched all of it over 2 days. And we broke things up. Like, we deliberately, watched the MST3K episode in the middle. And we watched, like, we watched, like, the MST3K episode, and we watched like I forgot what movie. We watched some movie that, like, we hadn't gotten around to for a while. But anyways, it's like, we finally got around to watching Ghostbusters Afterlife. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Finn Wolfhard was still in it. It kind of felt on theme. It's like I enjoy consuming media that way. I do. But if what the problem is that things don't build cultural relevance then, right? Like, things don't build into the consciousness and what really happens then. But, like, if that's the situation, like, if I have to wait week to week, and that means that the shows I like are more likely to keep going because they're able to build, like, momentum, I'd rather have that. Like, I would rather have the shows I like and have to wait for them than, like, not be able to have the shows I like. Because you take a look at shows at, like, Santa Clarita Diet, which I loved, and that got canceled after 3 seasons. And viewership goes down with those shows, so, like, in some of those cases, though, like, a season would come out and it was just out, and there wasn't any big fanfare. And, like, Netflix could get away with it when there were fewer streaming networks out there, right? Like,
when they had the monopoly, essentially.
And they don't anymore. And everyone else, like, you take a look at, like, Amazon does a mixed model. Some shows they will release all at once. Like, Upload Season 2 came out all at once. But most shows that they'll do, and this is the way I think this is the best model, is Amazon usually does this, not always, but usually, and then Apple TV does this, and then Disney Plus doesn't. Disney Plus will do kind of something similar, but like, they'll release, like, 3 episodes at the beginning, so you can, like, get your binge on and get hooked, but then week to week to week. The most Disney Plus I think has ever done is, like, 2, and often will just do 1 episode depending on the length of the episodes. But so Disney Plus doesn't do it as much as, like, Amazon and Apple do, but Yeah, and like by giving you like the show week to week, it builds buzz. Like you give enough to get a taste. Like, here are 3 episodes of the show, so you get hooked. And then week to week to week to keep it in the conversation. Like that is the best way to build and maintain an audience, and for shows that would otherwise like not, like it used to be that a show could run for a season with a minor audience and then it would build over time as, like, let's take a look at Cheers. One of the, big shows of the 20th century. Cheers had really low ratings its first season, but people came on with season 2. Now, and that's in a time when you couldn't watch old episodes, so obviously shows had to reset a lot more and weren't serialized story. But in the age of streaming, you can go back and watch the old episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like and by having build up week to week, like Ted Lasso saw good numbers its first season, but saw bigger numbers its second season because people spent a year talking about how great the show was, and then it came back, and then it came back into the conversation, back in the news, and so people went back and watched the first season after the second season had already started airing. Like, the weekly schedule builds momentum and keeps you in the conversation, and we aren't in the age anymore where, like, because it's like, as a consumer, do I like getting my whole season at once and not having to wait and just being able to watch it on my schedule? Yes, absolutely. But in the end, it does mean that things, like, there have been times where I had to stay off the internet because I didn't want a season spoiled for me. Now I just, it used to be like,
but
I've got to get on the internet and watch it. Like, I don't want to be on. And now I'm just like, I'll just maybe not go on the internet. My life's easier when I don't go on the internet.
I mean, true. But, like, there's also just the factor of, like, if you decide to do that, like, and not get spoiled, that's a valid option. Except then the thing that can suck that you run into is that you might watch a show and there's no one who wants to talk about it with you because they watched it weeks or months ago and they've already forgotten about it because it was, it was junk food content for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, it sucks. It sucks it just sucks. It sucks. I'm sorry. I wish I had there are times where I like the binging model. Like, admittedly, I do that a lot with anime that came out like a season or 2 ago that I didn't watch when it was new, and I just want to understand what people were excited about or are still excited about, months or years later. And I will binge old shows like that, but I don't know, for like new coming out shows, I just don't think it helps anybody to throw things out like that. Hell, I enjoyed Halo. I did.
Oh, I really
think
enjoyed
it was
Halo
a mess, but I enjoyed it. But there were a lot of people who didn't like it, but still kept watching it every week.
That's true.
Like the even hate watch numbers are still numbers. I'm wondering if that would have saved shows like Cowboy Bebop, and maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I don't know.
I think it would have saved Cowboy Bebop. Because, like, I don't know. Like, I think that people giving it a shot, like, it's after, like, I think Cowboy Bebop would have been best served by having 3 episodes initially released and then releasing the rest of the episodes week to week. Because I do think that Cowboy Bebop, it took me, like, probably till the second episode to get fully into it. Like, I enjoyed it the entire show, but, like, again, to like, get myself reset into... Actually, no, it was like halfway through the first episode that took me to get into it, because it was when I realized they were diverging. You know what I mean?
No, that makes sense.
Because I genuinely, personally, am sick and tired of the first episode of Cowboy Bebop, of the original
you
anime
mentioned
series.
That before.
Like,
yeah.
Only because I have seen it so many times from every single person I've ever tried to introduce the show to. I have just gotten, like, it's not that it's a bad episode, it's that I know every beat of the goddamn thing because I have seen it more times. I've probably seen that episode of anime more often than any other episode of anime.
Yeah, we've gone over that before.
But yeah, it's
valid.
Yeah, it's not actually a criticism of the show, but so, like, it's when that diverged from that, I was just like, ooh, I've Faye showed up? Interesting. But like, it's, I don't know, people who wanted that whole show to be a beat for beat remake, I don't understand why, because you can just go watch the original show if you want that. But
it's streaming forever. It's still streaming.
Yeah,
the original didn't disappear.
Yeah.
This isn't George Lucas.
Yeah. So, like, I do think, yeah, that a lot of shows, I think it would have been saved if it had been gone week to week. And not just, well, also because, like, then the people who are still talking about it, the people who gave up after one episode, maybe go back and give it a second try. Because it stayed in the conversation. We don't let shows build anymore. Because, like,
well, Netflix doesn't let shows build anymore. A lot of other streaming services are letting them build, and they're seeing success for it.
That's
like,
true.
It's
yeah.
Like, Star Trek Strange New Worlds is doing, like, great numbers. Because, like, week to week, it's just something to look forward to, and it continues to be good.
It's so good. I have loved every episode of Strange New Worlds that has aired. So there's this goddamn Screen Rant article which is driving me nuts, which was, so there's an episode, this is not a spoiler, but Pike, to get out of a situation, does maneuver, which he does a gravitational slingshot around a star, but at, like, regular speeds, like, no warp drive involved, sublight speeds, does a thing to, like, yeah, and it makes sense in the episode. There was this Screen Rant article which talked about how, like, the Pike maneuver, like, Star Trek retcons famous Kirk maneuver to the Pike maneuver, and, like, tries to compare it to, like, the times Kirk did, like, time warp by slingshotting around the star with warp drive. And I'm just reading this, and I'm just like, I'm so angry with this headline, because I'm like, they're completely different things with different things. And I think whoever wrote the goddamn article doesn't understand that a gravitational slingshot is a thing we actually do with spaceships in real life. Like, the reason why it was in in all these these two different things is because that is a thing that we do on real space missions. Like,
story doesn't matter, only lore. Everything exists to fill a wiki article. You don't.
But it doesn't.
It's not about understanding the real world or even themes. It's about filling a wiki article.
But no, it's not about filling a wiki article. It's about filling a clickbait. It's Screen Rant. It's not like the wiki has higher standards. And then, of course, you get all these comments on, like, the Facebook post about it of, like, people talking about, oh, New Trek is ruining canon and, like, all this stuff. I'm like, y'all didn't read the article or watch the episode, because none of this is true. Yeah.
Also, come at me, canon just doesn't matter.
But it doesn't even like, the thing they're complaining about isn't what happened.
I get that. It's just, it's one of those things where, like, one, it doesn't even happen, but two, if it did happen, it still wouldn't matter, because, like, I'm sorry, I've been in these nerd spaces for so long, and I love so many of you. I don't mean to sound this judgmental, but I really wish internet nerds cared as much about themes and characters as they do about canon or non-canon.
Well, okay. Okay, so I'm going to say this, that canon matters a lot to me in the case of Star Trek, because one of the things that interests me as a series, and one of the things that's made it kind of, like, makes it feel at home to me, is the consistent and the shared world and the canon of that shared world. Now, mind you, that doesn't mean that I'm not okay with changes to that canon, new information. Like, I get annoyed if they contradict something that they didn't have to. Like, I get annoyed if there is, for a non-storytelling reason, a contradiction to pre-existing canon. Like, I don't like some of the stuff they did with Klingon appearances in the first season of Discovery. I could deal with it because overall I like the show, but I felt like a lot of it didn't add to the story. Now, on the other hand, like, have a Spock having an adopted sister it changes the canon, I was great with it because I felt it worked really well in the story and gave us something new. So you know what I mean? Like it's if you're gonna change the canon, you have to do it for a reason.
And for people who had their disbelief like unsuspended or whatever by that, all I can say is that literally 2 days ago, I found out one of my closest friends of the last 5 years had a twin sister. Did not know that. Did not know that at all. So it's really also not that wild that other Enterprise crew members wouldn't know not exactly Chatty Cathy Spock, its entire family tree. That's, yeah.
Spock never mentioned Cybok once.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but that movie sucks.
But Cybok is still canon.
Cybok.
He still exists.
I know he still exists.
We don't talk about Cybok.
Oh, no. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm sure listeners are probably going to find some point to point out that I'm being really hypocritical about this, and there are times where canon really does bother me, and there's probably plenty of actually really good examples of me contradicting what I just said, but it's just that sometimes I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I just wish fans could look at the story that it's trying to tell and not get so caught up in minutia.
I think that, like, but my point is it's like, I guess what I'm saying, it's I can be okay with a canon change, but we should be right about I don't get so mad when the writers change the canon so much as when the fans get the canon wrong. That's actually what drives me nuts. That's what drives me nuts. It's like also like we were talking about Halo, it's like I really enjoyed the Halo season, like the first season of Halo. I really enjoyed it, and I get a lot of people complaining about like, oh, but it's so different. I'm like, it's a different timeline. It's like, tell me you've like so many of us have had to deal with our favorite shows going on, like, you know, like just Star Wars fans like having to deal with Legends canon versus like new movie. Oh, I guess those people aren't dealing with that well either. But like anime. It's. I mean, I gave up on
how many.
Muyo
I was going to say how many stories about how many origin stories does Tenchi's mom have?
Yeah,
like I'm legitimately asking.
I don't know. I just found out today that there's a version of continuity where he gets Ryo Oki pregnant. So I don't even. I am so glad I got out of that fandom when I did.
On a less gross note, yeah, like Gundam, we're constantly just having to reset timelines because rather than being impenetrable for new fans, they'll make like movies or OVAs to cater to the people who had been with the original storyline, and then seasonal anime will be like a brand new, totally unrelated timeline.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think we're a little far afield at this point, but it was, yeah, it's a weird place for genre shows on TV. I want to look into something else right now. In fact, oh, hey guys, look, there's something in the mailbag.
Oh boy, and that'll bring Gen back to the show.
Yay! I can talk about things again.
Found something in the mailbag. Yeah. Did you want to read this one, Trey, or should I read the letter?
I'll read it. Because I have the answer key.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah, so this actually came to us originally, was supposed to be part of our April episode, but I forgot it. So we have an email here from Zach, Bucketman Zach, with subject Monster Truck or Power Rangers Monster.
Ooh.
Hi, y'all. Been meaning to send this quiz in for a while, and my executive dysfunction has finally allowed me to do so. So here's the quiz. You'll be given a name, and you have to guess whether it is the name of a monster truck or the name of a Power Rangers monster. There's 10 of these.
I love this. I love this so much.
Oh my god.
So I'm gonna quiz Nick again, because I read the I'm the one who reads the mail that comes in. So I had it spoiled for me before we could do anything. So here's the first one. So here's your first. Is it a monster truck or Power Ranger monster? Number 1, Mighty Minotaur.
Monster truck.
I want to go with Power Rangers monster.
All right, so again you're going monster truck, and Nick, you're
Yep.
going with Power Rangers monster.
I'm going Power Rangers monster.
And the answer is Power Ranger monster.
Wow.
All right.
I remember that particular monster. I don't remember why. I just remember Rita saying it.
All right, so here's your second one. Shell Shock.
Power Ranger monster.
I'm also gonna go Power Rangers.
Final answer?
Yeah.
You're right. It is a Power Ranger monster.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. Raminator.
I'm gonna go Power Rangers.
Yeah, I think I'm also gonna
I
go
don't
Power
know.
Rangers.
Feels 90s enough.
Final answer?
Final answer.
That one's a monster truck.
That was
Dang
a
it.
monster. Dang it. Oh wow. This is a good game. I like this, Zach.
All right.
Kudos.
All right, next one is Jaws of Destruction.
That one sounds like a monster truck.
Gonna go with monster truck. I am also going monster
Final
truck.
answer?
Final answer. Monster
Power
truck.
Ranger monster.
Dang it.
No way. Losing my. Okay.
All right. Number 5. Bakugan Dragonoid.
What the hell is? Is that the game with Bakugan, like another kids franchise?
Yeah,
Okay.
it totally is.
Okay, it's gonna confuse me more. I'm gonna go with Power Ranger monster then.
Monster truck.
Final answers?
Yeah.
Final answer.
Again is correct. It is a monster truck.
Yeah.
Rats. Okay, we're tied now.
Because I think that's a dragon themed one.
All right.
Okay.
Number 6. El Taro Loco Ice.
I'm going monster truck.
Power Ranger.
Well, again, you're wrong this time.
Dang
It's a
it.
monster truck.
It's a monster truck.
I'm gonna have to look these up to see what they look like.
I'm curious.
All right. All right, number 7. Hot Seat.
That's a Power Ranger.
I'm going monster truck. I'm going monster truck. Final answer for monster truck.
Final answers? It is a monster truck.
Ooh.
All right.
I low-key just like saying monster truck.
All right, number 8. The Hate Master.
The hate master. Monster truck? I'm gonna go monster truck.
I'm gonna go Power Ranger.
Again, you're right. It is a Ranger monster.
Okay,
Yep.
wow.
Yep.
All right, number 9. The Krabby Caddy. The Krabby Cabby.
I think that's a Power Ranger one.
I want it to be a monster truck.
But do you think it's a monster truck?
I'm gonna go with monster truck.
Well, unfortunately, you are wrong, and Nick is right. It is a Power Ranger monster. And final question here. Maximum Destruction.
Monster truck.
Monster truck. I'm also going monster truck.
That is, in fact, a monster truck. Now, I did not track who got more right. So if you, the listener, were paying attention, tell me what the score was, because I did not keep track.
That was excellent. I really enjoyed that. I would love to do that again. That was very funny.
That was amazing, Zach. Thank you so
Well,
much for sending that in.
That's like as good as the is it the name of an elf or is it the name of a prescription drug?
Well, it's I always wanted to do that with giant robots and prescription drugs because of, like, you get into, like, Razafon, and it really sounds like that should have some side effects.
Right.
Side effects of taking Razafon may include remembering how much better Evangelion was.
Yeah. All right.
Razafon was mid. I'm just gonna say it.
I honestly watched all of Razafon and remember none of it.
Like I said, mid.
Like, we did a brain spike. I know I was there. I remember none of it.
The best thing about Razafon is Maya Sakamoto did the opening theme song, and that goes a long way for me, but not long enough. So, that's. Do we have a reading for the Vomit Hat Steve challenge?
We
though?
do. It's time for
Okay,
the Vomit Hat Steve challenge.
Let's do the challenge.
The Vomit Hat Steve challenge is the part of the episode where I read a part of a book, and the challenge to you, the listener, is to guess what book I am reading from. If you guess the book correctly, you get included in the Hall of Awesome. The benefits of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. 1, I read your name aloud every episode. 2, I put your name on a hidden web page on our website. And 3, you can count to the number 3 in your head as many times as you want, and it won't count against any other rule. I don't know what that means, but I said it, and so it must be true. The current members of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. Arkhamize, Zero, Raina Innocenti, Cheesy McDamu, Krista, Slithery, Shameless Otaku, The Random Ramblings Man, Corfan, Capito, Chris Graham, Lily Soares, Paper Godzilla, Cavsy, Minnesota Librarian, Sean Orange, Keith Shizuo, Sakura Sunset, Joel Kreisman, Patrick Delahanty, Wonderland Hearts, and Megsy Sass Council. I had been doing a book for a while, but I'm annoyed with it, so I'm stopping. And if people guess it, they can still get in, but I'm gonna read from a different book.
Okay.
All right, here we go. This is a new book this episode, not the same book that we had been doing for months that no one was guessing. All right. So it's a new book. Here's your line from the new book. He paused at the top of the low hill overlooking the tumbling stream and scanned for the whistler. The sound seemed to be coming from the opposite bank, but the trees and heavy brush still screened the view. If you know what book that's from, go to nerdandtie.com, click on the contact form, and tell us. And or if you have anything else you want us to talk about, to respond to, or just any other thoughts you really want to share, go and fill that out. Hey, if you've got any other quizzes that you want us to take and watch
Heck
me
yeah,
quiz,
send us quizzes.
Watch me quiz Nick
it.
again. I am more than happy to run whatever quizzes you want. And maybe next time I'll even keep track of who answered what right. You don't know. Yeah. So
started keeping track, and then it just kept going.
Now I want to make a Krabby Cabby like monster truck, and it's just like a taxi cab, but it's a crab as well.
See, like,
I want a crab monster truck.
See, like, the Power Rangers writers were a lot more alliterative and had more fun with the names, because, like, in Japan it was always like Dora Minotaur or Hair Dryer Dimension, or whatever the theme of the bad guys is that season. It's that plus like prefix or suffix fitting the team. So, like, Jew Ranger, it's Dora noun here. In Jetman, it's noun dimension.
Okay,
whatever it is. It's
but I looked it up, and there's a lobster monster truck called Crush Station.
Okay, that's so good.
That's beautiful.
And I love it.
I don't know how we can top that. So with the sound of crustacean destroying everything in its path, we have been Nerd and Tie for another month. I'm Nick Kazumi.
I'm Trey Dorn.
I'm Maximum Destruction.
And anyways, Maximum Destruction is the other name for Gen Proc. If you want to subscribe to the show, you can do it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere else that greater podcasts are listened to. Remember to rate and review us in as many stores as possible, because that's how the algorithms find us with their magic. If you want to support this show, besides sponsoring episodes or contributing to our legal fund at gofundme.com/nerdandtie, I've got a Patreon at patreon.com/TRAEGORN. Nick's got a Patreon at patreon.com/Nickazumi, and Gen's selling stuff on the internet as Ocelot Dude Designs. Isn't that right, Gen?
That's right.
And remember, you can follow the show on social media. We are at Nerd and Tie on Twitter, facebook.com/nerdandtie, nerdandtie.tumblr.com. And remember, we're a part of the Nerd and Tie podcast network, and there's a Discord for all the shows on the network, including this one, which you can find an invite at nerdandtie.com/Discord. And also, you should listen to other shows on the network, like Stormwood and Associates, which we're doing a really fun campaign to right now. And it's just flippin' amazing, because we're doing sliders. Get in. It's not really, but off-brand, kind of. Like, listen to the show. You'll like it. It's actual play. It's fun. It's exciting. It has magic and stuff.
And secrets. And fighting. And
a 10-year-old boy detective.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Played by me. Come listen to me be 10.
It's not all that different from the rest of the time, but
It really isn't. It honestly really isn't.
Yeah. But
You know,
anyway. What?
You know, if our show is the off-brand Sliders, does that make like Sliders the White Castle to our Dollar Tree Sliders, or
Dollar Tree sliders?
yeah, you know,
I don't. What's a?
it's a frozen hamburger you get at the Dollar Tree. It's like, it's still technically a slider, but it's not as good as like a White Castle slider.
We would just be like the White Castle sliders in the frozen section
Yeah,
of Walmart.
we'd be the.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
That makes sense.
I've never bought frozen foods at a Dollar Tree.
You're not missing much. I'm very poor.
Right, but I get that, but I don't think they end up costing less money than the generic brands at the grocery store.
Depends.
Anywho.
As long as you're not getting it from the Dollar General, that's a ripoff.
No.
All right,
No.
say your catchphrase.
Keep on sparking in the free world.
Yeah, I'm gonna go contemplate your life decisions now.